Aloha, I'm Sabrina with Begin Being, and I am super excited about this next video series. So a couple of weeks ago, I made a video on how to know if you are moving from like the old, what's been labeled as like the old 3D reality, like the lower vibration reality, to the new earth, higher vibration 5D reality. In this video, I want to continue that same concept, and we're going to be discussing these 7 key ways to move to the new earth reality and master manifesting. So everyone in the woo-woo or like esoteric type communities talk about manifesting, but what is it really? And why does it seem to work sometimes but not all the time? And is it just a bunch of BS? Well, to think about this, we must first think about the observer effect. And it was due to the observer effect that it literally took us centuries to figure out if light was a particle or a wave. Enter the double slit experiment. So in order to prove once and for all if light was a particle or a wave, a physicist developed an experiment which is now famously known in the physics world as the double slit experiment. What you can do is sort of, and I'll put a picture up, but you can sort of picture like a box basically, and like an enclosed box where there's only 2 slits. And what they were going to do is beam light into those 2 slits. Now, if you were like throwing sand in there, or if you were throwing like tennis balls in, like maybe there were holes and you were throwing tennis balls in there, what you would expect is the sand or the tennis balls to line up pretty much with the slits and to have a pattern, an indentation on the other side that's kind of in alignment with the slits. But that's not what happened. Instead, when they shined the beam of light through it, what ended up happening is it came out in an interference wave-like pattern. So instead of just being straight against the back, it went out in like a wave-like pattern, similar to if you drop a pebble in a pond and you drop another pebble in the pond. The pebble, when it gets dropped in the pond, it goes out in like waves. So you have these waves going out. Well, if you drop 2 pebbles at the same time, the waves eventually go out and they interfere with each other, and that's called an interference wave. Well, the light was doing the same thing. And so they thought, aha, light is a wave. However, the particle enthusiasts were not ready to give up so easily. So they continued doing more experiments. And at one point, they did an experiment with electrons. And they thought, okay, electrons are going to line up the way like they expected a particle to act, which is to be able to go through the slits and then be able to hit the back wall in like a similar pattern to the slits. But again, that's not what happened. Even the electrons acted as a wave and had interference patterns scattered across the back of like the back wall. Interestingly, they kept going because they were completely fascinated as to why this was happening. So interestingly, they decided to shoot the electrons through one at a time. And at first, it kind of looked like the electrons were going through like with the slit, like in alignment with the slit. And then they would shoot another one in and so on and so on, and they kept going. And at first, they thought that they were just going in like random patterns across the back. It turned out that even though they were being shot in at different times, that they too had a wave interference pattern. So now the question becomes, if they're being shot in at different times, how do they know that they're supposed to interfere with each other? So what does all of this inadvertently prove? I mean, they were trying to study light and how it reacts and the patterns. Oh, and by the way, the answer is, if they found out light is both a particle and a wave at the same time. Interesting, right? Okay, so what is all this showing? What is all this like proving? Well, for one, it proves that time and space doesn't actually exist in a linear fashion like most people think of it as. What I mean by that is, if they're shooting off one electron at a time, the electron that they're shooting off after still interferes, even though the other electron's already been shot, already been on the wall. What that means is the electrons at the subatomic level are not going by normal time and space. So normal time, they would have absolutely no interference with each other. But they're on this interesting subatomic time where time is cyclical and time is not linear. So what that means for us in this episode is, again, time doesn't actually operate the way we normally think it does. Enter the CIA. Now, what kind of good esoteric channel could I possibly be if I didn't talk about the CIA? Because honestly, they have all the good stuff. Okay, no, seriously. They have done lots of research into metaphysical, parapsychology, all sorts of stuff like that, really exploring what the human potential is. And this one particular research that they did, this was back between 1988 and 1989. They didn't release it, the CIA did not release it until 8/8/2000, so 8/8/2000. And what the document talked about was they were studying humans' potential to influence systems. So they studied if humans could influence random number generators. So a computer would generate a number, and the goal was to see if the human could influence what that number was. And what the CIA actually found was they could. So what does that mean for us? Humans can influence systems. Another study that was done on particles was testing reaction time. So what they did was they took a particle and they split it in two. And then what they would do is they moved this particle like further and further and further away from this particle. And what they would do is they would put like a stimulus on this particle, and they were testing how soon the other half of the particle would feel, or if it would at all, the stimulus. Now, we're taught in school that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Like, that's the maximum speed that you can travel at. However, light does have a speed. So, for example, the stars that we see today, they're not how they actually appear. Because light travels, has to take time to travel to us, the star that you're seeing today could have potentially already exploded. But we don't know it yet because the light of that explosion has not traveled to us. So in our perception, we think that star still exists, and it might not. Now, if it were true that nothing could travel in the speed of light, then what should happen is if you gave a stimulus to this particle, then this particle, it should take some time to feel that stimulus. And that's not what happened. So they would do a stimulus to this particle, and this particle would feel it instantaneously. Now, they actually sent this particle all the way out into space. And the time it took for them to put a stimulus to this particle, instantaneously in space, the other particle felt it, meaning information is instant. So information can actually travel faster than the speed of light. How? Well, science has yet to answer that question. Us in the woo-woo community, we might have an idea. But what does that mean for us? What that means is that because humans have an effect on systems and information can travel instantaneously, that actually means you can manifest instantaneously. Putting this all together, if time and space do not exist in a linear fashion, then technically what I manifest today could happen yesterday. Think about that for a moment. Now, also, if the observer has an effect on the outcome, and we as humans are able to influence systems, and information can travel faster than the speed of light, putting that all together, it means yes, we're 100% perfectly capable of manifesting, and like I said, we can do it in an instant, and we can also do it backwards. So the question then becomes, well, why aren't we? Why aren't we just automatically manifesting $1 million to rain down on me right now? Well, one could argue that you're always manifesting, but you're not always manifesting what you want. And here's why. In this video series, we're going to be discussing why, and most importantly, what to do about it. And that leads me to number one. The first key to moving to the new earth reality and master manifesting is knowing your what and your why. you have to know exactly what you want to manifest and why you want to manifest it. You also kind of have to know of like whether it's good for you or not. Otherwise, if you don't have all of those ingredients, the universe or your source, your higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, basically gives you the big middle finger. I'll use winning the lottery as an example. So many people have gone out there and they've watched the movie The Secret, or they've read the book or seen a YouTube video on it, and they're like, aha, this is how I'm going to win the lottery. And they go out and they try and use The Secret to win the lottery. There's multiple things wrong with that, but one of them is, what do you really want though? So if you were to ask a person that is buying a lottery ticket or maybe trying to manifest winning the lottery, if you were to ask a person, what is it that you want? And they say, I want to win the lottery. Well, unless they specifically like maybe want to get famous for winning the lottery, normally it's not the lottery that they want something else. And if you were to ask them, they would come up with answers like, well, I want more money, I want to be out of debt, I want to stop working. Those are usually the things that they actually want from winning the lottery. So you want to know what it is that you actually want, not the more like fantasy of it. And then you have to know your why. Okay, well, why do you want to have more money? Like, why do you want to get out of debt? Why do you want to stop working? There can be some really good answers to those questions, and you have to know why, because you have to know, is it good for you or not? So for example, like wanting more money, okay, great. Well, is there another way that you could want more, or that you can get more money that might be in alignment with your path? And I'll give you an example of this. So maybe about 7 or so years ago, if I was going to manifest winning the lottery and I had actually won the lottery, I can't say for sure that I'd be doing this right now. I can't say for sure that I would be out training people in neurolinguistic programming, NLP, and Huna. What I most likely would have been doing is traveling the world and seeing new and amazing, exotic, historical places. That's probably what I would be doing right now if I had won the lottery 7 years ago. Now I know what my true path is, and my true path is to be training people and to be here with you guys. So because that's my true path, even though maybe like if I was trying to manifest winning the lottery years ago before I knew all of this, it's in my best interest for the universe to tell me, no, you're not going to do that. Because if this happens, you wouldn't be on your path. So my whole theory of we're actually manifesting constantly, we just might not be manifesting what we want. It's also, we might not be manifesting what we think we want. So at the same time, when in this hypothetical situation, if I was trying to manifest the lottery, at the same time, ever since I was super, super little, I've always believed that we're here for a reason. We have a path, we have a mission that we're supposed to accomplish while we're here. I've always had this in my head, in my thoughts. And so if I was trying to manifest the lottery 7 years ago, I would have two conflicting manifestations going on at the same time. I would have the, ooh, I want to win the lottery so I can just travel the planet and see a bunch of cool stuff. And at the same time, I would also have the, I want to manifest me living my best life to serve my intentions for coming in. Those two are going to be like the waves crashing together, creating an interference pattern, meaning they would kind of cancel each other out. I had to do more work on myself to really realize what my path was. And my path is 100% not traveling the world and seeing amazing things. Now, can I do both? Absolutely, but that's not my main path. So if I want to go see the pyramids of Egypt, that's a side trip, right? That's like a side, like having a side gig or something. That's like a side trip to do, not my main focus. Winning the lottery, that would have been my main focus. So you have to think about why you want it, what you're going to do with it, and is it good for you? There's a thing that we teach in NLP, which is also a concept called ecology. And ecology basically means, is it good for self, good for others, good for the community, and good for the environment? So me winning the lottery, in some ways would have been good for myself, because yes, I would have got to experience a bunch of amazing things. It wouldn't have been necessarily good for myself, who was living my path to my fullest purpose. Could it have been good for others? Possibly. Many lottery winners, like, they develop issues with their family. They end up like losing friends or family members because fights break out and stuff like that. So maybe it wouldn't have been good for others. Good for the community? Absolutely not. Why? Because I wouldn't be here with you trying to share this knowledge. I wouldn't be with my students, you know, with my coaching clients, like guiding them to help discover who they are. I wouldn't be doing all of this work. So good for community? No. Good for environment. Here's an interesting thing. So along with like knowing that we're here for a higher purpose, when I was very little, probably too little to really even realize what I was doing, I did these weird things where most of my life I've lived like an area where there's like a bunch of nature around. And I would do these things where I would like go and walk in nature, and I would actually like communicate, like I would talk to nature and everything. And I would do these little things where I would like, I would feel so much like overwhelming energy, and not overwhelming in a bad way, but overwhelming in just like a ton of it. And so I would feel like just massive amounts of energy. And with that, I knew that this energy was something I wanted to protect. Like I had this feeling, I'm like, this is such like an amazing, like cherished moment and cherished place. Like the earth to me is very sacred, and it's something that I cherish very much. And so I would make these promises to like Mother Earth, and I would basically say stuff like, I promise that I'm here to protect you, and that I'm going to do like everything I can in my adult life. Like what I wanted to be when I grew up was like someone who took care of the earth. And so I'd make these silly, I mean, I guess they're not actually silly, but looking back on it, it was like kind of silly. But I would basically make these promises to Earth to take care of her and to do what I could to be able to like help Mother Earth and help its citizens, like help its children, basically like us. And so in fulfilling those promises, had I won the lottery, I probably wouldn't have. And, you know, maybe I would have so much money that I would have some sort of charity or something, but I wouldn't in the way that I'm doing it now. I wouldn't in the way that's my true path. So good for the environment? No, probably wouldn't have been. And other things to think about is you hear all these stories about people who win the lottery and then their lives are absolutely horrible. Like they blow through the money. Some of them get addicted to drugs. They, like I said earlier, lose friends and family. So sometimes winning the lottery ends up being extremely horrible for them. So if you're like me and you want to accomplish all of the other stuff, if there's something that's going to be really horrible for you like that, it's probably not going to happen, because again, you're having conflicting manifestations going on at the same time. And along with that, you kind of have to be thinking like, well, how are you going to add value? So let's say it was my life's mission to like start a charity that did all of this stuff for Mother Earth, and in order to start this charity I needed a bunch of money. So my true intention and my true path was to start a charity. Like that's in this hypothetical situation, like let's say that's my path. And so I'm like, you know what? A really good way to get the money is to just win the lottery. So I'm going to win the lottery, and I'm going to have a ton of money, and I'm going to put it all into this charity, and I'm going to be living my path. So I'm adding value. In that case, it would be good for all of the ecology. It would be adding that value. So how is your manifestation adding that value to the overall collective? You're going to get that manifestation if the answer is absolutely 100% it is. Now the other thing to think about too is, well, how else can you get that money, and would it actually be better? So in this hypothetical situation where I'm creating this charity, possibly I could also ask for donations. So I have this great business plan, my whole proposal's written up, and now I'm going around to people who already have money and who are maybe looking to donate to a charity. And so now I'm getting donations for that charity. Now, could that be a better way of getting the money? Absolutely, because not only are you doing the charity and stuff like that, but you're bringing in all of these other people and giving them the option to also be able to make the world a better place, and that might be a part of their path. Now I'm going to give you another example. This one's a silly one, but it's fun, so we're gonna use it. So my birthday is in July, and most of the time, it being in the summer, I love doing outdoor things. So I'm often wanting to do outdoor things. And like I said, since it's in the summer, it's not likely to rain. And so most of the time, my birthdays are beautiful and sunny and great for outdoor activities. Well, it's one particular year, it was very hot, we were having a really hot summer, and everything was really dry. So it was hot and it was dry, and I was like, you know what? I think it would be really nice to have just a light rain, not a huge thunderstorm to where we're taking a shelter under hail or something, but just a really nice light misty kind of rain to kind of cool everybody off, and so that way also the ground gets some much needed water. So I decided that I was going to manifest it having a light rain that particular day. Now, going through all of those questions, well, okay, my what is I would like to have a light rain. And what am I really wanting? Well, what I'm really wanting is for everyone to kind of have a good time, to be comfortable out in the heat in the outside, for the land to kind of get some water and stuff like that. Then what's my why? Well, why I'm wanting it is because, basically all those kind of same reasons is I wanted to have a nice outdoor party, but it not just be so hot that everybody's just sweating and tired and, doesn't want to be there. And wanting everybody else to have a good time and, like I said, bring in some rain and stuff like that. So I manifested the rain, and sure enough, all of these things happened. Everybody was like, oh, this is so wonderful. It's been so long since it rained. It feels so good. And so they had that experience. And with that, like I said, I had my what, what is it that I really truly want? Why do I want it? Is it good for myself? Obviously, it's my birthday, and this is what I'm wanting for my birthday. Is it good for others? Absolutely. They were all having, a nice time being able to be outdoors, but not in the burning heat. Is it good for community? Absolutely, because not only did we get to enjoy it, but others around us got to enjoy it as well. And is it good for the environment? Well, the grass, the plants, the trees, everything, they really all needed it. So absolutely. And so I was able to bring in that manifestation. And that's a case where it's a successful manifestation to where, yes, it is good for everybody. It is good for applying is it good for your path? Well, I mean, maybe I had some good insights that day, but it's just that one particular day. So focusing on your path isn't quite as intense as it would be for something bigger like our previous example. But that's what you're going to be focusing. That is the first key, is to really know what it is that you truly want and know why you want it. And is it good for you? Now, I've mentioned this being a video series. So because I really want to get into this at a detailed level and be able to give you some really valuable and good information that you can use and you can take it with you, I've decided to break this up into 7 videos. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you the big picture overview of the next 7 keys, and then I'm going to make their own individual videos so that we can really concentrate on this. So this is more of a program versus just a simple video that maybe you watch and do nothing with. My intent in making these videos is that you actually watch them and you go through, you go forward with doing something about this. So the second key to move to the new earth and master manifesting is releasing baggage. So letting go of baggage. And in the second video, I'll get into details about what exactly that is. But basically what happens is that during the imprinting phase, which is usually up until about age 7, during that imprinting phase, you are basically programmed. Like, you have stuff that your parents tell you, the TV tells you, your church tells you, your school tells you, whatever your experiences are, you know, your preschool, whatever, babysitter, anything like that. When you are that young, you're basically constantly in the same brainwave patterns as being like in your unconscious mind. So you're basically walking around like a sponge. You're just like an unconscious mind walking around, absorbing every single thing. And what happens is that you do not have the ability, like your critical factory has not been developed in your brain yet. So you do not have the ability to say, this piece of information is not for me. So if your parents said something to you like, money doesn't grow on trees, or money is dirty, then you might actually develop baggage around money and think, oh, okay, well, money is scarce, so, you know, I have to just live with that. And money is dirty, like it's bad. Like, so that means, you know, yeah, I can get some to like kind of meet my needs, but I can't truly ever manifest the money that I really want. And I'm just using one simple example there. You can apply that to almost anything. Parents get divorced. One parent says, never get married. It's the worst thing you can do in the world. Little kid hears that, absorbs it, and then even though they might want to be in a wonderful, healthy relationship, they can't be. Because a part of them is always thinking marriage is bad, or a serious relationship is bad. Go on to like physical health. Maybe your parents soothe you by giving you food, like giving you candy or something if you're crying, as a way to be like, oh, kid, shut up. Okay, maybe not that extreme, even though some parents, yes. But anyway, maybe they give you like food as to help with your emotions, instead of actually teaching you that emotions are okay to have and how to have them in a healthy way. Now, maybe you develop a thing where every time like you get emotional, you just eat and eat and eat junk food. And so even though you have the intention to be healthy, you can never accomplish that goal. So number 2 is getting rid of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and limiting decisions, so that you can then see the world how you are meant to see it, versus seeing it through all of these different filters that were created throughout your childhood. And I'll go into more details about genealogical and past life baggage as well in video number 2. The third key to move to the new earth and master manifesting is to write your goal. So after you kind of know like what it is that you want and why you want it, and you've released any baggage of like, oh, I don't know if I'm actually good enough to get this goal, you've released all of that stuff, all of your doubts and stuff like that, then you're going to want to write a goal. Now, if you've done other personal growth and development, you may have heard about SMART goals. So if you've learned about SMART goals, you're pretty much right on track for the key number 3. And in the third video, I'll be going over SMART goals, and I'll be going over how to write a successful SMART goal, and then one key thing that you need to do after writing that SMART goal to make it a part of your manifestation. The fourth key to moving to the new earth reality and master manifesting is to take action. Now, this one's super easy from a concept perspective, and it's not as easy from actually doing it perspective. So after you go through step 2 and you get rid of your baggage, and sometimes if you still hold on to your baggage, it can prevent you from taking action. Because, for example, if part of your baggage is, for whatever reason, you've developed like this belief that you're unlovable, and say you're trying to get into a new relationship. If you believe that you're unlovable, then it's going to be very difficult to get into that new relationship, to manifest that relationship, because again, you're having two kind of conflicting things interfering with each other. So after getting rid of the baggage though, now you think, okay, you no longer have that old belief that you are unlovable. However, you still have your old patterns. And what can happen sometimes is perhaps the old self, what they would do to maybe try to get into a relationship is like they would go to clubs, or they would go to like bars and, you know, dancing and drinking and all those other things. And maybe you're trying to be more into the 5D new earth reality. And so now maybe those things just aren't interesting to you anymore. Like they don't resonate the way they used to. Now maybe you're wanting to go to yoga or do meditations and stuff like that. If you continue the same pattern, because that's what you're used to look for your new partner, then if you continue that pattern, you're gonna keep thinking, oh, I find all of these people that aren't resonating with me. I'm like, I date this guy and he's just not, you know, he's just not for me. However, if you take action and you change your patterns, and now maybe you're going to yoga classes and, ooh, hey, there's that cute guy in the you know, yoga class, or girl if you're, you know, going that direction. Maybe then, or, you know, then you're changing your pattern. So now you're able to like do the things that you need to do, taking the action to be able to get whatever it is that you're manifesting. The fifth key to master manifesting and move into the new earth reality is visualization. So what I mean by that is when you're trying to manifest something, the number one thing that you can do is to actually visualize it happening and visualize your outcome. Now, many people in the like esoteric type community, they talk about visualization meditations, and they take you through different things where you're visualizing, seeing the outcome as if it's like already happened. One key ingredient that not all of them mention, a lot of them do, but not everyone mentions, it's not just like you're visualizing it. You want to get all of the details. So as much as you can, you want to have, what does it look like? What do you hear when you're experiencing this? What are you feeling? And feeling can be like more kinesthetic of like, you know, I feel I'm holding my new partner's hand. It can also be more internal, emotional. Like I feel that I'm super like happy and proud of myself that I got that new job. So you really want to have all of your senses being experienced whenever you're doing your visualization meditations. And there's been a ton of great research on this that I'll be getting into on the video with visualization. So on the fifth video, I'll be getting into all of the different research that has been done into visualizations. And the sixth key to moving to the new earth and mastering manifesting is focus. So now that you're taking action and you're doing your visualizations, you want to keep your focus. So what can happen is often when you first start out, you might not get your result instantly. So if you're someone who hasn't been doing any of these practices, or who hasn't, you know, done like previous work, it might take a little bit of time, because maybe you go to visualize and you're like, I got nothing here. Maybe you're still kind of working like on your goal. You're taking action, but you're still kind of like pinpointing it to be exactly what action. And what can happen sometimes is that we might not be successful right away. So some people think, and yes, it is true that you can manifest instantly, but some people think that's how it's supposed to be all the time. Here's the thing though. With certain manifestations, even though yes, technically they can happen instantly, there might be like maybe a skill set, or there might be something that has to happen in order for the manifestation to occur. So say for example, I decide that I want to be an astronaut. Well, I have zero training in how to be an astronaut. So first, I would have to go through all of these different, take all of this action to be able to go through all these different processes to be able to be an astronaut. So, maybe I'm taking action and I'm, going to astronaut school and I'm doing all of these different things that I'm supposed to. Something like that can't manifest instantly because we do still have to deal with physical reality. And that's not something that I can go from knowing nothing to the next day I'm on a spaceship to, outer space. So, and maybe it can happen a different way, like you win a ticket on like SpaceX or something, but that's not technically being an astronaut. So there's lots of action you need to take. So what can happen sometimes is we lose focus. We think, oh, I'm not an astronaut yet. Like I'm doing all of the work. I got rid of my baggage. I have my what and my why. I got rid of my baggage. I'm taking action. And then you're like, but it's not here yet. And so then some people will start to lose focus and they'll just stop the whole process. They'll stop taking that action. They'll stop doing what they need to do to be able to get to their goal. And in the 6th video, I will tell you the #1 key thing that you can do to maintain your focus. And the 7th key to move to the new earth and master manifesting is to be grateful. Now, last week I actually made a video on gratitude as a Thanksgiving special. And in the 7th video, we're going to be doing an advanced version of that. In the meantime, if you don't want to wait all the way to the 7th video, you can, if you haven't already, you can watch last week's video and you'll get a little bit of the information about gratitude, about having an attitude of gratitude. And in the 7th video, we're going to be getting into advanced gratitude. And as a little sneak peek to that, what we're going to be discussing is having gratitude that might be a little bit uncomfortable for you. What I'll tell you for now is that in this part of the mastering, manifesting, and moving to that 5D vibration, when you're thinking about something that you're wanting to manifest and you're relating that to gratitude, what you want to do is be grateful as if now. So already have an attitude of where you are grateful and appreciative of that manifestation as if you already have it and as if it's already come true. All right, so those are the 7 keys to master manifesting and to move over into that higher frequency vibration of the new earth 5D reality. All right, thank you so much for watching, and as always, choose love in all that you do. Mahalo. This is 8. Oh, let's not and say we did. Good boy. Reality into mastering and master, and then they don't. And then they think, well, this manifesting is a bunch of bullshit, be a bunch of BS. Ooh, censors.